The sun is setting, casting long shadow across the desolate desert. Lone figure stares beneath the scorching heat of the dying day, the air heavy with anticipation. The ground crackles as flame begins to swell around the figure, slowly consuming it from all sides. And just when the flames seem to devour everything, something extraordinary happens. The flame flickers, sputters, and then rises again. This is the story of the phoenix. But this isn't just a myth from a single culture. It's a symbol that has transcended time and geography. A myth that has appeared across the world in various forms, each telling a story of death, destruction, and miraculous rebirth. It's a tale as old as time itself, a story that draws us into its mystery. It's a promise of transformation and hope. Let's journey together through the fascinating tales of the phoenix across cultures. Because what happens to one culture when they look upon the fairy bed could tell us so much about their deepest fears, their hopes, and their understanding of life and death. First, the phoenix of ancient Egypt. Our journey begins in the land of pharaohs, where the mighty sun god Ra reigns supreme. Ancient Egyptian mythology speaks of a fairy bird known as the Beni, often associated with the sun and resurrection. The Beni is said to have risen from the flames of an immense prey, reborn to live again in a cycle of death and rebirth that mirrored the daily rise and fall of the sun itself. The Beni was often depicted as a heron or a stork with beautiful golden and red feathers. In the ancient world, the rising and setting of the sun was a powerful symbol, one of inevitability, of a cycle that couldn't be stopped. But with the Beni, there was something more. A promise from the end of one day, there would always be a new beginning. In the eyes of the Egyptians, this wasn't just a celestial event. It was a deep cosmic truth. The notion of rebirth was vital in Egyptian thought. The entire mythology surrounding Osiris, god of the afterlife, is grounded in the idea of resurrection. The idea of the Beni bird wasn't just a myth. It was a divine reflection of the natural truth, which is, life may end, but it always finds a way to begin again. Secondly, the phoenix of ancient Greece. The phoenix story in Greek mythology is perhaps the most famous. Its image is the one most of us picture when we think of this mythical creature. The Greeks tell a tale of a majestic bird consumed by flames, only to rise again from its ashes. This phoenix was said to live for centuries, 500 years, before it felt the pull to die in a spectacular display of fire and heat. But the truth of the mythical phoenix in Greek tradition lies not just in its death, but in its renewal. According to some tales, the bird would gather aromatic herbs and spices, building a nest of sweet-smelling woods that would burst into flames, burning both the bird and the nest. But from the ashes, a new phoenix will emerge, a creature of fire, reborn from the very destruction that claimed its predecessor. This isn't just a story of life and death, it's about transformation. The Greek phoenix is a reminder that sometimes, to be reborn, one must first be destroyed. It's a metaphor for personal growth and reinvention. Sometimes, we must break down before we can truly rebuild ourselves into something new and more powerful. But here's the twist. The phoenix was not just alone. There was also a sense of fate at work. The bird was never in control of its destiny. It was part of a cosmic circle beyond this understanding, something deeply beyond the human capacity for comprehension. Its death and rebirth were not random. They were written into the very fabric of the universe. Thirdly, the phoenix in Chinese and Eastern mythology. Across the ocean, in the ancient cultures of China, a different version of the phoenix emerged. This was the fengguang, often referred to as the Chinese phoenix. However, in contrast to the green fairy bird, the fengguang was not born of flames. It was a bird of peace, symbolizing harmony between the yin and yang, the male and female energies of the earth. In Chinese mythology, the fengguang is said to appear only when there is a righteous ruler or an era of peace. Unlike the destructive flames of the Greek phoenix, The Fengguang symbol is one of balance and virtue. It represents a more subtle kind of rebirth, not through fire, but through the quiet, constant ebb and flow of harmony and renewal. The Fengguang does not undergo the violent death of the Greek bird, but appears as a creature of transformation that is said to embody the harmony of all things in nature. From the description of the bird, it was more serene and more elegant. Its rebirth was the renewal of peace and prosperity, and this cycle is what allowed Chinese civilization to flourish. What's particularly interesting in this version is how the phoenix role as a harbinger of change also represents the cycle of dynastic rise and fall. The bird's presence signaled the beginning of a new era, one that carried the hope for renewal and restoration. Fourthly, the phoenix of Native American legends. In Native American culture, particularly among the southwestern tribes, there exists a creature that shares many characteristics with the phoenix, the thunderbird. The powerful bird, often associated with storms and lightning, was believed to bring both destruction and renewal. While not identical to the phoenix, the thunderbird shares the theme of an elemental transformative force that embodies both creation and destruction. The thunderbird is often viewed as a creature whose power can bring about great change, whether it's through a thunderstorm or an upheaval in the spiritual world. In Native American traditions, it's not just the bird's death and rebirth that is important, but the way in which it interacts with the world around it. The thunderbird is not just a symbol of rebirth, it's a catalyst for transformation, shaping the world with its presence. Despite the distinct differences in the stories, there is a striking common trend. The phoenix is not just a myth, it's a universal symbol of rebirth. Across these various cultures, it represents a powerful truth that transcends time and space. Life and death are inseparable. One cannot exist without the other, and in the ashes of what has ended, something new emerges. There is a reason this myth has persisted for centuries across continents, cultures, and languages. It speaks to the deepest fears and hopes of humanity. Every culture, from the Egyptians to the Greeks, to the Chinese to the Native Americans, have seen this bird rise from the flames or the ashes as a symbol of hope and transformation. It reminds us that no matter how dark or difficult our personal struggles may be, there is always the potential for renewal, that even from destruction, beauty can be born again. From the ashes of a phoenix fire flicker, we are left in awe of what follows. There rises not just a bird, but a symbol, an idea that resonates across time and space. Death, destruction, and transformation are all parts of the same cycle, and in that cycle we find hope. The phoenix across all cultures tells us that even in our darkest hours, something new can emerge. It is the essence of life itself, the power to regenerate, to rise, to begin again. So the next time you face a challenge, remember the phoenix. It may be the key to your own personal rebirth.